What if I told you that a single war almost tore the United States apart forever? A war that decided the future of millions of people and shaped the country we know today. This is the story of the American Civil War, a war that changed everything. In this video, we'll talk about why the war started, the most important battles, and the key people who played a big role, like President Abraham Lincoln. Let's dive in. The Civil War didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was the result of long arguments and tensions between the northern and southern states. The biggest reason was slavery. In the South, the economy was based on farming, especially cotton, which needed a lot of workers. These workers were mostly slaves, people who were forced to work without pay. The North, however, didn't rely on slavery and had more factories than farms. Many people in the North thought slavery was wrong and wanted to end it. But it wasn't just about slavery. There was also a big debate over states' rights. Southern states believed they should be able to make their own laws, especially about slavery, without the federal government telling them what to do. The northern states believed the federal government should have more power to make decisions for the whole country. These disagreements grew bigger and bigger. When Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860, southern states were worried. Lincoln didn't plan to end slavery where it already existed, but he didn't want it to spread to new territories. This scared the southern states because they thought it would hurt their way of life. As a result, 11 southern states decided to leave the United States and form their own country, the Confederate States of America. This is what led to the Civil War. The Civil War was full of battles, some small and some huge. Let's look at a few of the most important ones. The Battle of Fort Sumter, April 1861. This was the first battle of the Civil War. It happened when Confederate soldiers attacked a Union fort in South Carolina. After 34 hours of fighting, the Union soldiers gave up. This battle officially started the Civil War. The Battle of Antietam, September 1862. This battle in Maryland was the bloodiest single day in American history, with over 22,000 soldiers killed, wounded, or missing. Although neither side really won, it gave President Lincoln the chance to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that all slaves in the Confederate States were free. The Battle of Gettysburg, July 1863. This three-day battle in Pennsylvania was a turning point in the war. It was the largest battle in North America, and the Union Army won. After this, the Confederate Army, led by General Robert E. Lee, never again invaded the North. The Siege of Vicksburg, May to July 1863. While the Battle of Gettysburg was happening in the East, the Union Army was also fighting to control the Mississippi River in the West. After a long siege, the Union won and split the Confederacy in two, making it much harder for the South to fight. The Battle of Appomattox Courthouse, April 1865. This was the last major battle of the Civil War. Confederate General Robert E. Lee was surrounded by Union forces and had no choice but to surrender to General Ulysses S. Grant. This surrender brought the Civil War to an end. The Civil War was shaped by a few important people who made big decisions and led the armies. Let's meet some of them. Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln was the President of the United States during the Civil War. He worked hard to keep the country together and believed that slavery should end. His famous speech, the Gettysburg Address, reminded everyone that the war was about making sure that all men are created equal. Lincoln is often remembered as one of America's greatest presidents. Jefferson Davis. Davis was the president of the Confederate States. He believed in the South's right to leave the Union and fought to keep slavery. He led the Confederacy through the entire war. Ulysses S. Grant. Grant was a top general for the Union. He led many important battles and was known for never giving up. His victories, especially at Vicksburg and Appomattox, were key to the Union winning the war. He later became the 18th President of the United States. Robert E. Lee. Lee was the leading general of the Confederate Army. He was a brilliant military leader, but despite his best efforts, he couldn't win the war for the South. He eventually surrendered to Grant, ending the war. Harriet Tubman. Though not a soldier, Harriet Tubman was an important figure in the Civil War. She was a former slave who helped many others escape through the Underground Railroad. During the war, she also worked as a spy for the Union, gathering valuable information that helped the Union Army. The American Civil War was a critical moment in the nation's history. It settled the question of slavery, kept the United States together, and laid the foundation for the country's future. The battles, causes, and key figures of the Civil War still teach us important lessons, reminding us of the struggles and sacrifices that shaped the country we live in. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more history content.